Good morning. I'm Linda with Pinky Mouse Sisters in the Kitchen. Mary is running some errands today. Talked to her earlier this morning, so I am going to be cooking something myself here. And I want to welcome everyone to our kitchen, to our page, for all of our new followers. Thank you very much for finding us, and we hope that you will share us with your friends and family. And for all of our faithful, dedicated followers, we thank you so much for always being there for us. And so today, I'm going to be making something for breakfast. And I think that this would be really good for like Christmas Eve morning or Christmas morning or maybe New Year's morning. I don't know that you could make it ahead of time and put it in the refrigerator and bake it the next morning, because it's going to have, it's going to have eggs in it, and I'm not real big on putting something in the refrigerator where the eggs are cracked, they're in the mixture. But you certainly could prepare everything the night before and then just put it all together. It's not going to take long to put it together. I have my oven preheated to 350. I'm going to butter my casserole dish. Now, the recipe said use 11 by 7. This is a 9 by 13, so it's not going to be deep, but I think it'll cook a little bit faster. So I'm using this one. If you want to use 11 by 7, you certainly can. But now this has got butter in it, but I'm just doing a little bit of extra butter in the dish and in the bottom and on the sides. So we'll put this aside here, and I have got, whoops, I just dumped my eggs when I moved that, so now I'm going to have to grab some more eggs out of the refrigerator and see if I can get these cleaned up. I bumped something and didn't realize it, so give me just a second here. It's live camera. I don't know if y'all can see my eggs there or not, but let me pour my milk in the bowl. I've got 2.5 cups of milk, and I'm going to go ahead and pour that in there, get that out of the way, and move this so I can just take this over to the sink, and hopefully it's not going to run all over on the floor. So I'm going to back the camera up just a second so I can try to get this off here. This is the fun of live television, or not live television, but live camera. It won't take just a second, and I'll get this cleaned up. Okay, that bit scraper works pretty good. So funny. I thought I had everything all ready to go, and then I dumped my eggs. I'm going to have to get a little bit of something else to clean that up with. Raw eggs on my counter. So y'all just bear with me a minute here. Let me get this mess cleaned up. That's hilarious. I don't think I've ever dumped an egg in my life, but just leave it to me to do something silly like that. Okay, let me grab 2 more eggs. So, in the recipe, and I don't think it's on the members page. Thank y'all for bearing with me there. I don't think it's on the members page yet, but I said 2 eggs, and I'm using 3 because these are fresh yard eggs my neighbor gave me, and they're real small. And I normally cook and buy large, extra large eggs, so I'm just adding an extra one just because they are small. They're really good eggs. They give them to us from time to time, and I'm always real happy to get them. something there and there that I wanted to get out. Okay. I don't know if that was a little shell or what it was, but I need to get that out of there. Okay. So, in the recipe that's online, it's going to show 2 eggs. Just make sure that you use large or extra large. And I'm going to mix this with the mixer. Just because I want my eggs mixed up really good. Thank y'all for being patient with me. Lay this down because I'm going to use that again. Okay, so that was 2.5 cups of milk, 3 eggs, or in your recipe it's going to show 2, 1/2 cup of packed light brown sugar, and I'm using Imperial. Y'all know that we are sponsored by Imperial Sugar. And then 3 tablespoons of butter, melted. I'm going to get this in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my vanilla in, and I'm using 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now, that might sound like a lot, but this is going to give it some really good flavor. So 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and that's vanilla extract. There is a difference between vanilla flavoring and vanilla extract for novice cooks. So if you can afford the extract, buy it, because it definitely makes a difference in the way it tastes. I'm going to go ahead and put my cinnamon in. Let me check this off as I go, so make sure I'm not leaving anything off. I have 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour, and I have 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, y'all may think that's a lot of salt, but oatmeal is basically bland, and you need that salt to bring out the flavor. I've got my vanilla extract. Now, this was a surprise to me, but this calls for 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And get a paper towel here. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So I'll recap this in just a minute, because it seems like I'm kind of scattered here. Okay, let's get my cinnamon in. You want a tablespoon of cinnamon. And I use the good cinnamon, which is Koringe cinnamon. We can only get this this time of year. I've almost used that whole thing. Yep, a tablespoon of cinnamon, so we're going to put that in there. It seems like a lot of cinnamon, but it's going to taste good. It sure smells good. But I think Kathy from California is watching, so hi to Kathy. And for everyone, hello to everyone, all of our followers from Canada, from Great Britain, from, oh my goodness, Australia, Ireland. We have people that follow us from so many different countries, and I don't want to miss some, but I know those are some of our regulars that watch us a lot. So in this bowl, I've got 2.5 cups of milk. I've got 3 eggs, which yours will be 2. I've got a 1/2 cup of packed light brown sugar. I have a tablespoon of cinnamon, 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and that is salted butter, 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt. So that's what's in here now. Now I've got, I toasted a half a cup of pecans, and then I chopped them. Now I toasted these for about a minute and 25 seconds. I toast them on 30-second intervals. You don't want to put it on a minute, because if you do, your pecans may burn. So toast them 30 seconds, take them out, stir, put them back in there, toast them 30 seconds, stir, and then toast them another 15 or 20 seconds. You will smell them when they're toasted. You do not want to burn them. You don't want burnt anything in this, but you sure don't want to burn your pecans. Now I'm going to tell y'all a little tidbit, or give y'all a little tip about pecans. And some of you probably already know this, and you probably do, especially our people that cook a lot and bake a lot. I had some pecans that were pieces, but to save time, and you may think, well, why are you using whole pecan halves and you're saying you're saving time? When you get pecans, don't just pour them out of your sack and either toast them and then just throw them in what you're cooking. You need to look at the pecans, because many times they have a little piece of hull on them, or they have that bitter dark brown stuff in between the little ridges, and it is really tastes terrible. There is nothing worse than biting into something that's so good and crunching down on a pecan shell, or either getting that bitter taste in your mouth. So turn them over, look on both sides, make sure there's not anything on them. So it was easier for me to use pecan halves, so I could look at both sides real quick, toasted them, and then I chopped them. So it calls for half a cup. I went just a little over a half a cup, and because I looked at these pecans, I can pour this in there. If I hadn't looked at them, I would have to go through this and make sure there wasn't anything in there like hulls or the brown, dark brown bitter stuff. So I'm gonna put all this in there. So it's just a little over a half a cup. I'm also putting in 1/4 cup of golden raisins. I slightly warmed these. A lot of people like raisins, a lot of people don't. I will tell you that instead of raisins, you can totally leave the raisins out, or if you'd like, dried cherries are wonderful with oatmeal. You could use dried cherries, you could use dried cranberries, you could use chopped dates. So there's several options if you want something else in there, but you don't want raisins. And if you want raisins and you don't have golden raisins and you have the dark raisins, you can use them. It's not going to change anything. It's just they're just going to be a different color. I think the golden ones are pretty. We never bought them when we were little. Mama didn't buy them. She bought the dark ones, but I like the gold ones. So that's 1/4 cup of raisins, and I had those in the freezer, so I did heat them so I wouldn't be putting them in this cold. I am using old-fashioned oats. Now I'm sure that somebody's going to say, could you use the quick oats? And I'm going to tell you no, don't use the quick oats, because I haven't tried it. And I won't give advice on something that I haven't tried. So you need to use the old-fashioned oats. And y'all know something? They're not cheap anymore either. Oatmeal is not cheap. You used to get a huge box for 99 cents. Now I think that box is like $4 or $5. And maybe more than that now. But I also chopped 1 apple. And I chopped this with my food chopper. I covered it with saran wrap so it would have something over it, not just sitting out. And I didn't totally mince it. I wanted some texture to it, but you don't want huge chunks. You want it to be kind of uniform. So I've got that in there. And I'm just giving that a quick stir. And then let me make sure that I've got everything in here. I do, and I do this quite often. Check off my ingredients. These are erasable pens, so when I'm through, I can just erase that and then the next time I use that recipe, I can do that again. Now, you can see that this is the old-fashioned oatmeal, Quaker Oats. You can use the store brand if you want to. I just noticed that my 2 cups wasn't quite full, so I'm just putting just a few more in there just to make sure that I've got a full 2 cups. Okay, 2 cups of old-fashioned oats. And I'm going to just fold these in here. Put this back in here. Now on the recipe, I put 2 cups of milk, but in parentheses, I put you might need 2.5 to 3 cups. Normally when you cook oatmeal, it's twice as much liquid as it is oats. So I added a little bit of milk to this, and y'all saw what I put in there. It was about 2.5 cups. But you can tell that it's, it is fairly thick. There is some liquid in it, which you're going to need that. The oatmeal's going to need it to absorb the liquid. So I'm just going to pour this in here. And again, this is a bigger baker than it said use. But I didn't want it real thick. If you want yours thick, then you can use 11 by 7, but I'm using a 9 by 13. Make sure that I get all that out in there. And you can tell it's not super, super thick. Now it's going to puff up some because it's got eggs in it. But, and I'm going to take it over here and put it in the oven. I've got my oven on the, actually I've got it on the top rack. I'm going to move that down just a pinch. Already cooked pie shells this morning. I'm kind of multitasking today. I'm making chocolate pies and I'm making chicken pot pie. Okay. Doesn't that look good? I think it looks delicious. And I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes. And bring the camera back over here. I know y'all are so patient with us moving the cameras around and getting stuff out of the way so we can make way for something else. So I hope everybody's doing well today. I hope that y'all are having a good day so far. And I think any day that you're above ground live and kicking, I think that's a good day. So let me move these dishes over here and get these out of the way. So what I'm going to fix with this, and we're going to eat this. I didn't cook breakfast this morning, so we're going to eat like a late breakfast after this gets done. And lately I have just been into grilled bread. I love grilled bread. I love the crunch of it. I love especially this oatmeal because it's gonna, well, it'll have some texture to it because it's got raisins and pecans in it. But I like to have texture when I'm eating. So this is a couple of pieces of bread that I laid out of the freezer, and I'm going to butter and grill this in a little bit. Use my grill pan, and then I'm going to cook something to go with it, either some little link sausage or a couple of pieces of bacon or something to go with that. Mike probably eat egg. He's a lot bigger on eggs than I am. I do eat them, but I wouldn't feel deprived if I didn't eat them. I just put it like that. the only way I do like them is either scrambled or boiled. I don't eat fried eggs. I know y'all have heard me say that before. So there's a little trick that I'm going to try, and I will let y'all know whether or not it works or not. But I'm cooking chicken pot pie. So I've got these, and I'm not doing this here live because we've made chicken pot pie before. But I've got these small potatoes. They're honey golds. They're bite-sized potatoes. That's what I like to use in my pot pies. These hold their texture really well. They don't mush and turn into, fall all apart or turn like into mashed potatoes. They hold their shape good. But they are really hard to peel. And I've peeled these. I hadn't peeled every one of them. I don't like peelings on my potatoes. So I saw something, and I was going to try it this morning before I got on air, but I just got really busy because I cooked my pie crust for my chocolate pies. But what it said to do, and I'll demonstrate this if it works. I'll demonstrate this another day. But you take each potato, and you take a little sharp knife, and you just score around the middle of the potato, and then you boil them until they're done, and you take them out, and you just peel back that skin, and the skin just comes off in two pieces because you've done it. So I'm gonna try this. I don't know if any of y'all have ever tried this or not, but I'm a little bit skeptical, but it looked like it would work. So I'm anxious to see if this is gonna work today. So I'll let y'all know about that. And my neighbor has brought eggs down here twice lately, so I needed to use some eggs because I had already bought eggs, and I'll give Mary some of them when I see her, but I won't see her till next week, probably, unless I see her over the weekend. But so I decided, pies would be good because I'm making a chicken pot pie for one of our friends, and they're going to pick it up later this afternoon. And so I decided I'd make them a chocolate pie for dessert. So I've got the pie crust done, and I'll bring them in here a second and show y'all what they look like. But in my pot pie, I'm going to have fresh carrots and some real finely chopped celery and onion, and potatoes, of course, and chicken, and in the cream that you fix it in, and then the frozen peas, you put those in. You don't cook them, you put them in after you've got your other vegetables cooked. And I'm not putting a crust on the bottom, I'm only putting a crust on the top. I love the crust, and to me, a pot pie is not a pot pie without a crust. I used to fix them with both layers on the bottom and the top, but to kind of cut down on the bread part, and also to keep, sometimes the bottom gets soggy anyway, and so I figured just put the crust on the top, and that'll make it really, really delicious and really good. So while my baked oatmeal is cooking, I grabbed this book, and it's just it's just a real cheap little photo book that I probably got at the dollar store. But I've got some of Daddy's letters and things in here. And Daddy had real tiny handwriting, and Charles writes like Daddy, and I can read it, but it's kind of difficult for some people to read because it is really small. But this is his army patch here that he had on his uniform, and this is a 6-cent airmail stamp, which is really interesting. I don't know if you can see that or not, but 6 cents for an airmail. And because it's Christmas time, he wrote so many letters back home. And what is so amazing to me, he loved his brothers and sisters and his mom and daddy. He called them Mama and Papa. And he loved them very dearly. And he would write individual letters to them. He wouldn't just say, "Dear Mama and Papa," he always said to tell the others hi in his letters, but he wrote to each one of them, which I think was just outstanding. It's just so touching to see these letters. This one was dated February the 13th in 1944, and this was after he had come back to the United States, and I know it was because I know when he got out, and he was in the hospital in West Virginia, and that's what the little stamp on the letter says. But Michael Edwards and Debbie's son brought this to my attention one time. I never really knew. I knew the V-mail letters, and some of y'all will know what I'm talking about. It's V-mail. They called it V-mail. Basically, the Army, the people, the military people, they would write, and then this would be transferred on to something. It was what, and facsimiles nowadays are, I guess, are really outdated. Back in the 90s, faxes were really common. I remember when I had a modem installed in my office. At one time I had 4 lines in my office, and one of them was a dedicated modem line. So we could fax stuff and we could receive faxes. Now, you know, you just send docs over, you know, in an email. But back then, the faxes were really popular. So this was kind of, it kind of predated our, what we call faxes today. And Michael brought that to my attention. You can see on this envelope, it says V-mail. And Michael is a real smart guy, and he reads a lot and everything. And here's a letter from Daddy to me. And again, this is very, very common how Daddy done all of his life. This is when he was in the hospital in Houston, at the VA hospital in Houston, and he wrote this letter specific to me, and it's dated September the 8th, 1964, which was just about a couple of months before he passed away. And this stamp is, this was a 5-cent stamp, and this was in 64. It was a 5-cent stamp. You can tell that some of these letters are damaged, the envelopes are damaged. Pinky Paw and Pinky Maw used to keep, and this is where I got the majority of these from. Of course, that letter was in our possession because it was to me, but all these letters when Daddy was in the service was ones that Pinky Maw had, and I asked her for them, and she gave them to me years ago. But you know, they would have mice and stuff get in their house, so some of their stuff would get damaged. So they started putting, and some of y'all may relate to this, they started putting documents in syrup buckets. And mice, or I guess it was mice, it wasn't any other critters, because they didn't, you know, there wasn't big critters that got in their house, but they did have from time to time mice or something to get in. So they started putting stuff in syrup buckets. And if y'all never seen a syrup bucket, they used to be a half a gallon or a gallon. Probably a gallon is what they had. And it had a lid on it, had a handle on it, and a lid on it. We used to pick berries in them. And they would push that lid down with a little hammer or their hand, and they could keep stuff in there and nothing would get in it. It's kind of brings back a lot of memories. Then this one here, this is a letter, and this is to Marie. That was Daddy's sister. Y'all may have heard us talk about Aunt Marie. She was Daddy's fun sister. She was a character. I think y'all did. I think we did talk about her with drinking the milk out of the carton. They lived in Pennsylvania, and that's where she raised her family. She left Texas young and married and moved to Pennsylvania. But she was really fun. She had Pinky Paw's laugh, and her and Pinky Paw clashed big time because they were so much alike. But she loved her mama. She loved Pinky Paw too, but they just clashed because they were both real hard-headed, and so they didn't get along that well. It didn't keep her from coming to see them. They just didn't get along that well. But anyway, Daddy wrote many letters to Aunt Marie, and then this one here. This one is probably from another girl. When they left, when the Army guys, and back then it was the guys that worked. There was women that worked in the service and in the military, but they weren't on the front line or in jobs like they do today. So when I say guys that was doing that. When they left on buses, like when they left Nacogdoches County, Daddy was on the first bus that left out of Nacogdoches County for the war. He volunteered. He did not wait for them to call him. He volunteered. And then when they went to their training, he was in Camp Walters. And when they left there, they had written their APO address. I guess it was called APO back then. I'm not sure, but I think it probably was. Some of you military people may know it. If you do, well, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but they would have their name and address on pieces of paper, and they would do a lot, and they would throw them out the bus window, and all these girls would gather up these addresses, and they would write to the military men, and Daddy got letters from lots of girls, and I think that letter was someone that got his address, and Pinky Mall got the letter. But Mama always said, yeah, he had lots of girls to write him, but there was only one that he wrote back, and that was me. That was Mama. So that's kind of funny that Mama had a cigar box full of his letters. She had ribbons tied around them that she got from him when he was in the military. And when our house burnt, she lost her letters. And she could, up until probably a year, maybe 6 months before she died, she could actually quote some of the Christmas cards word for word that was on those letters that Daddy sent her, because it was just, it was that special to her. And then, let's see, here's another letter to Pinky Mall, and I believe this is also from West Virginia after he had got back from the military. It's also dated February. And then these are just some nostalgic things. I don't know if y'all are interested in this or not. I just, sometimes I like to walk down memory lane, and I love reading about history, and especially when it involves my family, and to see the different prices and the things back, in the 40s, and in even 50s and 60s, but Daddy was really particular about not charging anything or buying anything. But this is from Firestone Tire Company in Nacogdoches, and it looks like that he either bought some tires, it could have been truck tires, I don't know. This was in 1940, so this would have been before he went to the Army, I believe. It would have been before he went to the Army. It's a budget payment, and it's $5.25 is what's on that receipt for $5.25, and with his name on it. And that Firestone place is still there in Nacogdoches. And then here's another one to Aunt Marie, and it would take me a little bit to read these, and some of them are kind of funny. And I know one of the letters that he sent to Pinky Paw is he's talking about a drink that Pinky Paw told him to try. My daddy was not a drinker. He did not drink alcohol or liquor of any kind. But he tried this, and I know the name of the drink, and I'm sure some of y'all have heard it, but I don't advertise stuff like that. But he told Pinky Paw in the letter that he tried it, and he did not like it. And I guess I will say what it was, because some of y'all will probably get a kick out of it. It was kamikaze, and I have no idea what it is. People used to laugh at me when I was doing interviews, and when I would say alcohol, and I would put something in there, and they would come back, they would review our work, and they'd say, Linda, and I'm a very good speller, and they would say, you misspelled alcohol. I said, well, I don't know anything about alcohol. I don't know how to spell it. I don't need to know how to spell it. But almost every time I wrote it in the notes, I would have it spelled wrong. So I finally had to look it up and learn how to spell alcohol. This is another one to Aunt Marie. And this is not Daddy's writing. This is from somebody else that Aunt Marie had written, and they wrote her back. So that wasn't to Daddy. Let's see here. This is from Camp, it's not Camp Chemical. I don't know where that was from. This is 1942. This is from another girl that wrote. I don't know why, but I can't read that. Here's one, Dear Mama and Papa, or Dear Mama and All. It's not, don't say Mama and Papa, it says Dear Mama and All. Here I am again today trying to think of something new to tell you. Well, as I told you yesterday, he would write every day. The sun was pretty, just like a spring day. This morning, something over the growing honest, I didn't know if until I was in the mess hall and one of my friends look at the snow or something. I couldn't quite make that out. Oh, and this is a letter that Daddy wrote to Clifford. Clifford was his youngest brother. He's the one that got killed, that got hit by a drunk driver and was killed in Nacogdoches when he was crossing the street from church. My dear little brother. This was in 1942. Clifford, I got your sweet little letter today, and oh gosh, I hope I don't start crying. And I sure was glad to hear from you and you all. Clifford, honey, I'm sure you're glad you all had a good time Saturday and Sunday, and I hope you all have a good time on the 4th of July. This was July the 1st that Daddy wrote it. Clifford, I'm sending you one of my pictures, and you keep it. When will you all have ripe tomatoes? And then he goes on. He writes. It's not just one page, but it just kind of gives you a snapshot of how my daddy loved his family. Okay, let's see. I wish I could find a funny one in here. And I might not want to read it if I did, because Daddy didn't write bad stuff, but there are some in here that's kind of funny. Seems like I'm seeing all of Aunt Marie's. Here's another one to Mama and to All. And Dear Papa, Dear Mama. Okay, this is some that I wanted to show y'all. These are the V-Mail Christmas cards. And, well, I probably shouldn't have showed that bottom one because it was a lady in a bikini. I shouldn't have showed that one. Y'all probably laughing. This one says, this is to Pinkie Paul. Greetings from the South Pacific. And it's got, some little Christmas bells, and it's got, I didn't even realize it's actually got his APO address on here. I didn't even know that. And I guarantee you that my mama knew that address by heart. And I know she did. Let's see if I see anything else in here. And you can see some of these are really, really dark. Here's another Christmas one here. And this one is to Vestal. That's one of his twin sisters. That was to my Aunt Big Girl. And then Vestal and Hester was his twins. And this one is to Aunt Big Girl. And it said, there will always be a Christmas. When it comes to transportation, Santa Claus will do okay. We have a flying fortress, or RT, any day. I guess that was a military term, I'm not sure. So just have a Merry Christmas. May good luck be yours for keeps. For there will always be a Christmas if it has to come in Jeeps. That Love, Cecil. I think that one was really cute. And that one was, oh goodness, it was October of 1943. So this was in October. You see he sent them way ahead of time. So so they would get it in time for Christmas. And I have more letters and more things in here. This is Mama's notes right here. It actually not notes, it's the story. The first story that she wrote before she wrote her book. This is the first story that she wrote to her grandchildren about Daddy. And this was incorporated into Mama's book. So those of you that have Mama's book, this is written in there. She tells when she met Daddy, and when she first met him, he was in the CC camp, and I believe all of this is in the book. But she wants her grandchildren to know him, so she wrote this. It's got a lot of stuff in it. I won't read this because, like I said, if you have Mama's book, you have this on there in the book. Let me put this back in here. And there was something else that I wanted to show y'all, and I didn't get it out to dust it. So it's going to be just like probably it was when Mama made this for me. I don't want to break it. She made these every year. Not every year, sorry about that. She made this for all of us. She made one for all of us, and probably some of her nieces too, and nephews. But this was a plate. It's an old plate. She probably got it at the Goodwill. I don't know if y'all can see this or not. But on the back of it, there's a little tiny plate. Right there, that little tiny plate, like a little child's plate. It says, a daughter has the sweetest ways of filling the world with sunshine days. And she's just got a bunch of little trinkets on here. She didn't fix any of them alike. She fixed them all different, but she put things on there that were, a lot of them were old, some of them were not. Things that she had that either meant something to her or meant something to our family. She was always dressed in little bears. And some of this is just laying on there, so I can move that. But she was always dressed in little bears, so that wasn't supposed to be on there. I'm not real sure if this is just a little decorative piece on there. But she's got the cup and saucer. This is the set. Mother loved feathers. She loved birds. She loved bears. She dressed bears all the time. She was always buying little stuffed animals at the Goodwill, and then she would dress them up, put a little lace on them. You can see the little hat with the flowers that she put on it, and it looks just like something Mama would do. And then there's another little bear there that she's got in there, and a little boy playing a trombone. And these are little birds with a little magnetic piece on the back, and there's several of them on there that she's got on there. She loved birds. She loved bird figurines. There's 3 of them. No telling how old these are. They could have been something back from the 50s or 60s. And that shouldn't be on there either. That's something I just stuck on there. This is a little tiny pencil. She knew I always loved pencils, so she got that on there. And this is I don't know what this is. I'll try to get it over there so you can see it. I'll show you the rest of it first. She has Maul's thimble on there. This is Molly's thimble, and probably I wouldn't even be afraid. I'd be afraid to guess how old that is. There's some more of the little birds. And then this is an old watch, and that's looks like a bobbin in the middle of that with thread on it. I don't know. That's something to do with sewing. If y'all can see that. Whoops. Something to do with sewing. I'm not sure. this is glued on here, so that's why I couldn't pick that up. This is an old salt shaker. And when I say old, that's probably from the 70s. It's not old, old, old. But this was a little metal dog. She loved little things like that. I'm going to lay these aside here. And this is just an old picture frame. It's not anybody that I know that we know, but she put it on there so you could see the back of the picture frame. It's real old. And then this here is a letter to Paul from Ma. And this was in 1924. And this was before they got married. And this is the letter that Ma wrote to Paul Lee before they got married, because she signed it. Probably wasn't long before they got married. It's 3 pages, and she signed it. May heaven's choicest blessings be showered upon you is a sincere wish at yours truly, Lily Hooper. I think that was Ma was she was real creative, and I think that was a real sweet way that she signed that. Let me get this on here. And then this is another one of those old picture frames, and that's Ma Lee, and she's got a bonnet on. And Ma, of course, used to, years ago, they wore bonnets, and her mother, Grandma Hooper, always had a bonnet on, that always had an apron on. Now, this was a picture. This was, she had this bonnet on for this picture. She wore bonnets when she was out working or picking berries or something. But if she was going somewhere, if Ma was like going to church or going shopping or going out, she wore a headscarf. And that's what she wore to keep around her head and keep her ears warm. She used to tell us, you need to put something on your head, cover up your ears so you don't get a cold. And that was something that Ma always told us. So this picture right here is, Mama put on the back of this, the girl Zale Sanford, the girl who took over the switchboard at Aiken, Texas, after Mama, Aunt Pearl, and Aunt Allie quit. They stopped running the switchboard in Aiken, Texas in 1919. And this was the lady that took over. So Ma and 2 of her sisters were the ones that ran the switchboard for Shelby County in Aiken, Texas. And they quit in 1919. And I've heard Mama tell about, I hope I'm saying this right, but I believe when the war ended, World War I ended, they got the news on the switchboard. And they said you could hear guns going off, people shooting their guns all over Shelby County, because they were so happy that the war had ended. They were letting everybody know. My buzzer's going off, so I'm going to check my casserole over here and see what it looks like. It smells so good. Let me turn the camera back here. Hope you can see that. It's not quite set. It's still jiggling just a little. It said 30 to 35 minutes. I'm going to set it on 5 more minutes. And let it cook 5 more minutes. And then I'm going to take it out. That looks really good. I guess I probably should get over there and get this bread grill, but I want to finish showing y'all this. So these are just postcards here. This is a building for fur trade in St. Louis. This was on where they sold furs, traded furs. And then this is, this is something, I have no idea where this come from, but this was something, I believe it looks like it's Paris. Something in Paris. And then this is a postcard that doesn't have anything on it, but it's got, I believe that's a Liberty Bell. And here's another letter. And looks like this may be where Paul wrote back to Ma. This was also in 1924. And this is him answering that first letter that I showed y'all. Dear one, how are you by now? Fine as my wish, as you are, as my own self. I am just fine, only kindly blue because of all this rain. That was Paul Lee. I don't guess I've ever really realized that letter was from Paul. And this is the last thing here I'm going to show y'all. And this is a canceled check that my daddy wrote from Commercial National Bank. And it looks like, I don't know if it was from Grandpa Lee. Looks like it was that Grandpa Lee paid $50 to Daddy. It was probably something that he bought from him. And it's stamped on the back, July the 8th, 1948. So this was, I was about not quite 2 months old. Let's see, May, June, July. Not quite 2 months old when that check was written. So that check's over 74 years old. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way. And turn my grill on over there. Y'all probably don't want to watch me grill that bread, but I'm going to grill some that we can have to eat with that oatmeal. So, that's going to be ready in just a few minutes, but I'm going to just go ahead and turn this on and get this grill hot. And put me some more butter on here so I can butter my bread. If you don't want to tear your bread up when you're grilling bread, just melt your butter, and that way you don't have to worry about it tearing your bread up. Melt it and just brush it on there. Get this going there. And I need to wash my hands real quick too, since I've been holding all that other stuff. Mike's gonna wonder what in the world those eggs are doing on that tray. So this grills bread so easily. And this will be really good with that oatmeal. And the way I do it when I'm doing like a grilled cheese, I'll just lay one piece of bread down on top of the other one that's buttered. And then I'm going to turn them over and do the other side. Because I like both sides of my bread buttered. Now some of you may not. If you don't, that's fine. I just like both of mine buttered. And I just feel like if you're going to, it's getting pretty hot. If you're going to be eating butter, I mean, it's probably not like you're eating it that often, but don't use the fake stuff. Get the real butter. All right. Not quite hot enough, but it's getting there. All right, this should be ready. Okay. You can tell it's set. Now I'm going to leave that set just a minute before I cut it, kind of like a pie, you know, so it has time to set just a little bit. And I use the grill press on this just because it helps it, let me move this over there. I put the grill press on there I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but it just kind of helps it grill and gets those nice grill marks on it real good. Get a plate out ready to plate some of this. I know I've been on almost an hour, but I really wanted y'all to see this so you could see how it looked. Now, I'm not going to cook the meat live because it's going to take me 3 or 4 minutes to cook a couple of pieces of bacon. But you could do like a fried egg, a scrambled egg, the grilled toast, and, you know, bacon, sausage, turkey bacon, whatever you use. If you don't want meat, you don't have to use meat. I just like, you know, a little bit of meat with my breakfast when I'm eating breakfast. And this is not ready, but I'm going to show you. Yeah, it's not quite ready yet. Let's see. Now, I think that this would make about 2, 4, 6, 8. I think this would make about 8 probably pretty nice servings here. It's still not completely set. We'll give that just another minute. I don't want it to tear up. If some of y'all need to go and come back and watch it on replay, you can certainly do that. I'm just, instead of getting off and getting back on, I'm just going to stay on here until I get this finished, if y'all don't mind. And like I said, if you need to get off, you certainly can get off and come back and watch it. This is just something different that I thought would be, and I really do. If I would have had dried cherries, I would have put dried cherries in there. I looked in my freezer and I thought I had some. Dried cherries are kind of tart. I don't know, I can't remember if Kathy was in White Plains when we worked there, but the hotel we stayed was a Hyatt House, and they had a huge breakfast every morning, and we kept trying to figure out, I kind of think Kathy was there, we kept trying to figure out what those big, I mean, they were huge dried cherries, and we called the front desk, and they said they're cherries, and they were so good. So dried cherries would be delicious in this. I think dates would be a little sweet, but the dried cherries or dried cranberries would be delicious in it if you don't want to use the raisins. Let's see. It's starting to get there. It's not quite like I want it yet, but this grills really, really fast. So I'm really anxious to see how this is going to taste. And I'm anxious to see if Mike is going to like it. If it passes the Mike test, then I've done good. Because Mike will definitely tell me if he likes it or not. Now, when I told him what was in it yesterday, and I told him I was going to fix it, he said use 2% milk. So I kind of compromised, and I used half 2% and half whole. But in the recipe, I put use whole milk. If you don't want to use whole milk and you want to use 2%, use 2%. I don't like the skim milk. It's basically water. But if you do use 2% and you want to, well, you definitely could do that. See how beautiful that is? I'm just going to turn it over on the other side. You could do the bread that you make, like if you make artisan bread or sourdough bread, any hearty bread will grill like this. And I'll show you something else too. I grilled, Mike put these in the freezer last night because I wanted to keep them fresh. But these ciabatta buns, they grill really good. And they got the little nooks and crannies in them, kind of like English muffins. You could also grill English muffins. I've grilled these for us for breakfast several times. So you don't have to just have regular bread or wheat bread or whatever kind of bread you eat. You know, if you got buns or something in the freezer that are something like this, a real good hearty, sturdy bread, it will take putting the grill press on it. It's not going to tear the bread up. If you use regular bread, it's going to mash it flat, and I have done that. But this hearty bread is much, much better. Can't do anything fast. It takes me longer to do stuff than it used to do. It's kind of irritating, but you know, that's how it is when you see how nice and golden that is. I'm gonna turn it one more time. Now you may think that's a lot of bread and you might not want that much bread. So if you didn't want that much bread, you could cut it in half and use one half for you and one half for your spouse or whoever else you're cooking for. So I'm going to turn this off and take this off the burner. And I'm going to get this out here. Isn't that beautiful? And I'm going to get a piece of bread and cut it in half. I guess I could have got a knife instead of that spreader. But you got a beautiful piece of grilled bread and that nice, I want a taste of this. Let me see what this tastes like. Thank you, Lord. It's very good. It's not real sweet. If you wanted it a little sweeter, you could pour a little tiny bit of maple syrup over it, or you could make a sauce and go over it. I think Mike will really like it because he doesn't like stuff real sweet. So I just wanted to show y'all, and hopefully y'all will make this and let me know what you think about it. So thank y'all for hanging in there with me. And I hope y'all have a wonderfully blessed day. Make sure that you count your blessings. If there's someone that you know needs lifting up, reach out to them and try to brighten their day. It just takes a little bit of time, thought, and effort. And you just don't know what it might do for that person. So you can tell I've been in the oven because my face is red. When I get hot, my face gets red. So thank y'all again for loving and supporting Mary and I, for watching our videos, for sharing our videos. We will be back Monday cooking, and I'm not real sure what I'm cooking yet, but I know next week we are going to make the orange slice cake. So be sure to tune in. I'll create an event so y'all will know when we're on. Check your notifications to make sure, and like our videos and pass them on, share them to someone else. We appreciate it so very much. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. I miss my sister today. We're sacrificing doing this so we can get more videos to y'all throughout the end of the year. So thanks again. I love y'all. Mary loves y'all. Be sure to count your blessings, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.